Hey guys, First Regardsman here, and so I'll be talking about how to beat weekly hard stratagems, what are the best builds to make this a bit easier, and what are the most overpowered team comps to accomplish this. Now, this weekly stratagem is pretty difficult for a lot of players. I'll probably make a video on these every week, depending how difficult they are, but this time around we have Exfiltration with suboptimal state, maximum health is reduced by 75%, and Meat for the Slaughter. The number of Minoris enemies spawned is heavily increased, and the number of Majoris enemies spawned is reduced. Now, I do want to mention that Saber Interactive has said the rewards for some of these missions is a little too low currently, especially the daily ones that give you like 10 accolades for what can come out to be like multiple hours of attempts for some players, which, like, to be honest, is just not reasonable at all. So they will be upping that at some point, or at least presumably updating it, because there will be a hot fix coming out later this week. Just wanted to mention that. Now, as far as completing this exfiltration mission goes, basically, if we have a 75% reduced maximum health, that means we want to be building for primarily armor to keep us alive, because armor in Space Marine 2 has damage caps that HP does not. So I want to show a bit of a build setup for this on multiple classes and how we can more easily accomplish this mission. So first up, we have Bulwark. Bulwark is the best class in Space Marine 2 overall right now, outside of things like Sniper Camo Cloak canceling, which is just a broken mechanic. But for Bulwark, we have a perk here with Focus Restoration. Every 30 seconds, all squad members automatically restore one armor segment. This perk is incredible for this stratagem here because it just gives armor to your whole team, and any amount of armor in Space Marine 2 will reduce all incoming melee hits to 0 damage. Doesn't matter how much damage you actually do, and as long as you have armor and you're not getting your HP hit, having reduced maximum HP doesn't matter that much. And this can make it so like a super enraged warrior that would otherwise one-shot you with like 25% of your HP will no longer do any damage to you whatsoever. It's a really strong option for that. Also, the Bulwark is a very powerful class because we have Invigorating Icon for healing our teammates, because sometimes you'll get hit, your teammates get their HP nuked, and healing them up is very good. And on top of this, we have stupid amounts of damage reduction with Conviction and Steel Within for like a total of 55% health damage reduction, on top of a 30% increased base HP. So Bulwark is actually pretty tanky on this mode, even with the 75% reduced HP, which is kind of funny because he just is that guy. Now, if you want to skip Steel Within for something like Armor Reinforcement off of parries, this is also very, very beneficial in this mode to keep you alive. But either way, you can build him with like a full tank setup for HP damage reduction or armor. That is up to you. But I would always take the Focus Restoration perk because this one simply keeps your teammates alive, and the banner on him is also invaluable because it keeps your teammates alive by dumping out armor, because armor is just worth more than HP, especially when you have a 75% reduction. Now, as far as just like clearing out the mission goes, there are increased Minoris on this one, so pretty much just bring like a Pyre Blaster for this. Pyre Blaster positively fodderizes any Minoris in this game. This gun is actually kind of broken. It does like serious burn damage to bosses too. Super powerful option, especially for this stratagem. And really the thing that's going to kill you in Space Marine 2 stratagems, at least for Tyranids, are going to be like the horrific boss spawns with your 75% reduced HP. So what you want to do is bring things like Precise Calibration and Concentrated Fire on a tactical class, like, because for the best team comp, I would say I would bring Tactical, Heavy, and Bulwark, because first of all, Tactical, like I said here, will positively nuke down bosses with Auspex, and having more Auspexes to clear out the hardest portions of the map, which is obviously going to be the boss spawn, this is just going to make your run way easier. So I would definitely bring a Tactical for this. Also bring Secure Stockpile to give 60-second equipment recharge to your whole team. Melt the Bombs will wipe out extremists like Zoanthropes that can shoot your teammates, and just give you a ton of utility with things like shock grenades. Just make your whole life easier. Like, honestly, even if your Tactical is like dead 99% of the game, Secure Stockpile still goes off, and he'd be like the ultimate bot for that. So still a really, really powerful option. So I pretty much would always take Tac with us here. Now, the next guy for Heavy, I would take Encompassing Aegis. All squad members take 25% less damage from range attacks. This is a very powerful perk, and this combined with all of our other damage reduction on Bulwark will make the Bulwark super tanky. Even if all your teammates go down, Bulwark can seriously get people up. And if you want to take something like Rejuvenating Effect to get your teammates up from a banner, you can also do that, because sometimes people will just get nuked in this mode. It's just the way it goes, but this can definitely help with that. And having Encompassing Aegis, it does give you that slight bit of tankiness, and this also affects your armor, so your armor is less likely to break. So super powerful option here for sure. And Heavy is also another class that is very powerful at reducing damage to 0, because he does have an Iron Halo, which means he can't just block all the range attacks are coming at him. So if you're blocking all the range attacks that are coming at you, well, that's 0 damage. Doesn't matter what your HP is if you're taking none. Same thing with Bulwark and his shield. So these are really, really good classes for this. And alternatively, I would also take, or I should say on top of this, I would also take Fortitude. Health increases by 30%. This will just allow you to survive things that otherwise instantaneously kill you. Obviously, this is like a tiny bonus when your max health is reduced by 75%, but this on top of Conviction can prevent an outright one-shot, and not getting one-shot is pretty good if you ask me. And that's also why I take Restoration here for an Armor Restore, because Armor Restore is also a very powerful option. And if we're being honest, guys, Heavy, Bulwark, and Tactical are just the best team comp in Space Marine 2, period. Now, you don't have to bring a Heavy Plasma here. You could take the Pyre Cannon as well in here to wipe out these Minoris, because as long as you're wiping out the Minoris and you're getting all this Armor Restore off and you're getting all this healing from your Bulwark, there's very little that's actually going to kill you outside of the boss spawns and some of the Extremis spawns, and those are not too hard to deal with. I would take a Power Fist on the Bulwark as well, because Power Fist is the strongest melee weapon in the game, and also the strongest weapon in the game, period, but very, very powerful option. And this coinciding with an Auspex means you will almost one-shot certain bosses, especially the block variant if you take this one on like 2 Adrenaline Surge charges, so really strong there. Though that is pretty much all there is for the actual team comp here. I do want to mention that hard stratagems, guys, these are hard, and the reason for that is that they want them to be hard. They're not supposed to be easy. They are going to be a filter for certain players forever, because it's kind of the point of them. They're a hard difficulty, and the purpose of a difficulty in a video game is to have a gap for different players at different skill levels. So there is like a bit of an element of the get good in here, but there are definitely builds that can seriously trivialize or make these significantly easier, and that's what I wanted to showcase in this. Obviously, if you have no idea how to play Space Marine 2 and like you just came back to the game, this might be very, very difficult for you, even with a really powerful setup, because you just have to learn the game a bit, and that does kind of suck if you're just like really want to finish this weekly at all costs. You have a ton of time, but like I said before, Saber Interactive is aware that these stratagems are not rewarding people properly, and some of the hidden modifiers are bugged. So there's probably going to be a bit of a change to these in the next hotfix, so we'll see how they do with that. But for now, this is how I would accomplish this mission. This one isn't too hard. I was able to finish this in like 1 or 2 attempts. But, you know, I have 3,000 hours on this game almost, so I wouldn't really say that's like a representative of a normal player base and like how much they've encountered some of the harder difficulties in this game. If you're trying to trivialize this, just as a final run through, Pyre Blaster, Heavy Pyre Cannon, if you want to just wipe out these Minoris, and just Bulwark yourself, damage reduction, plus Power Fist, plus Armor Restore, and just to do all of that, and it should go a lot easier. And once you get the boss spawn out of the way, or like the initial boss spawn, and then you get to the Trigon, life will be pretty easy with Auspex, and just nuke whatever you can. And that's pretty much all there is to it, guys. If you have any questions about this, let me know in the comments below. I know I was a bit rambly here. There's a ton of information to give out, but big takeaways: build for armor, build for damage reduction. Anything that gives armor back in Space Marine 2 is a very top tier perk option, and build for Minoris Slaughter, so Melt-A-Guns, Pyre Blasters, and damage reduction with encompassing Aegis, and health increases with stuff like Fortitude and Conviction. And that's pretty much all there is to it. It might take you a few attempts, might even take you like 10 attempts depending on your skill level, but hopefully this guide helped. And I'll probably make another one for some of the other hard stratagems in the future and the other weekly stratagems that come up next week. Now, one final thing I want to mention is that if you are new to Absolute Difficulty, the hard tier stratagems are basically just Absolute Difficulty Plus, and just like in Absolute, as of patch 8.0 forward, you can get a total of 2 Terminus spawns throughout the mission. Now, Exfiltration has a Terminus spawn at the end of the Trigon, so on this map in particular, you can only get 1 extra Terminus, which means like 1 Carnifex or 1 Neurothrope. So there's a bit of an added benefit, but I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. And when you're fighting these in-mission Terminus spawns like the Carnifex or Neurothrope, if you get their HP to below 50%, they will spawn in extra reinforcements of like Extremis or Majoris, so just keep that in mind. And your game plan really should be just to nuke them or handle the ads and then nuke them, because once the boss is gone, I would say especially with the 75% maximum health damage reduction, your life is going to be a lot easier, and nuking down bosses with like this 75% reduced HP is very, very important. And to do that, I would just make sure to save your Auspex on the Tactical here for as long as possible. Things like Precise Calibration and Concentrate Fire, because with these two perks put together, your Auspex damage buff is enormous for your whole team. You can very easily like one turn a boss, and that's really your whole job as a tactical here. And to best accomplish the Auspex on a boss spawn, you should probably shoot it out when the Carnifex has rammed itself into a wall and they are stunned, or you should do it on a Neurothrope that is shouting. So basically, if you go up to a Neurothrope, like in like within melee range of it, or like a little bit under it, it'll oftentimes sit there, begin to scream, and then you can back away and just shoot your Auspex out. That's like the best time to do that, in my opinion. Then your whole team just like lay into it and just kill in like 2 seconds. That's the best way to kill them, in my opinion. Anyways, guys, hopefully this build guide helped, or like, you know, build guides, team comp guide, whatever you want to call it, stratagem guide. Point is, I hope it helped, guys. This is pretty hard for a lot of players. You know, I want to put a disclaimer here of that just because you use the most overpowered build and like team comp for this does not mean it'll be easy for all players. You may have quite a few attempts of this, but hopefully this will help you get through it eventually. And if you like content like this, subscribe for more. And as always, thank you for watching. Thanks for all the support, and take it easy. Bye.